Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? Well, if you're playing a fantasy game, then the answer is probably an elf. For elves are the fairest. They are beloved of creation. They are the most loved of whatever gods there are. For they have all the gifts. They have long life. They are agile. They are beautiful. They are smarter. They are wiser. They have, because their civilization is so enduring, they have the most magnificent culture, the greatest art. They are better than you. They are wiser. They are smarter. They're probably right. So, elves are better. They are the better race. They are far better than humans. They are far better than dwarves or lizardmen or Seremi. They are certainly better than dwarves and orcs and goblins. Those stupid, ugly, stunted, short-lived races. Elves are just better. And of course, this causes a lot of problems in a role-playing game because, well, people want to play elves. People have always wanted to be an elf. Who doesn't want to play someone who is better? Who is best? Who is wonderful, who's beautiful, who's smart and wise, and so on. So elves are fairly common in RPGs, and they often get a bonus to being faster. They often get a bonus to being more magical. And they can often, they have extraordinary senses, and sometimes they don't need to sleep. They just have this raft of abilities, which means fitting them in with, if you're worried about game balance, or you're playing a game which has worried about game balance, then elves are a little problematic because they are just so much better. Elves are better as antagonists. You don't even need to be a dark elf, a Moradrel, a Minibian, a Drow. You can be a light elf and be an antagonist. Because you are better, you know better than all these stupid humans, all these stupid dwarves. And your society probably has plans, and it's probably manipulated every younger society, because you don't want them attacking you, because they'll win. There are just more of them. Even if you can kill 100 humans for every elf, that's still losing proposition for an elven culture, because elves cannot replace themselves, not in any time frame that is meaningful. And, elves are probably having trouble with that. They are probably dying out. They just cannot replace themselves. I guess they can. There are elven children and so forth, but they take so long to mature. Legolas, out of Lord of the Rings, was 3,000 years old. He is irreplaceable. If he caught an arrow in the head at the start of the Fellowship, there's no replacing him. You can't go and go, just get Legolas too, his brother. There is no replacement. And, they're not going to have one for another 3,000 years. It'll be sometime in the next 2 ages, and the next Legolas comes along. You cannot replace them. So they can get pushed out by more vigorous cultures. So they're going to react to those cultures in very long-term plans. They're going to set themselves up as your elders, as your betters, and that you're not allowed to attack them. You're not allowed to fight them. The idea of fighting an elf should be unthinkable to any younger culture which is not absolutely opposed to them. It may not be that they cannot think of it as that, they know we will not win. The dwarves go, no, we will not fight the elves. The elves will win. They will call up some scary old magic, and they will blow our mountain. They'll turn our mountain into a volcano, or they'll do something else terrible. It's not worth fighting elves. We will go and fight someone else. It'll just be easier. We'll trade with them. And we've got good trade deals with them, and we've got embassies and emissaries. We just don't want to attack them. So the only things which will attack elves are races which have been pushed on by some evil power, some power that hates elves. In D&D, you've got your Grunch, who's a Saturday morning cartoon villain. For all intents and purposes, Grunch constantly gets defeated, and his orcs constantly get beaten up. You wonder why he tries. But try he does. But he's basically a second-rate Morgoth. But he's still, those are the only things which will try to kill elves, because they are driven on by something far more powerful than them. Someone who doesn't care about losses, because they also know that any elf they kill, there's no replacing that elf. Not at all. But the elves are best used as antagonists. So they will have set your culture up, they would have set up your religion, they would have set up every aspect of your society to safeguard theirs. Any kingdom living next to an elven society probably exists, as far as the elves are concerned, as a buffer between whatever dangerous species or long-term enemies they have and where they live. If, the marauding orchards to get at the elves have to go through the human kingdoms, you can bet the human kingdoms have been uplifted by the elves to a state where they are very capable of resisting orc invasions. And the humans may not even realise this. A campaign I've run, the revelation of that the entire human kingdom, all of human civilization, all its triumphs, all its foibles, every piece of its culture was designed towards having this barrier between the elven lands and the dark elven lands. If the dark elves were ever to invade the elven lands, they would have to go through the humans first. And so the elves had set up a civilization and a culture which would just bog down the dark elves. So they can't. And the revelation of this came as a complete shock to the humans. They didn't really appreciate it terribly well. And at the moment, they're not dealing with the elves very well. They don't like the idea that they are just disposable troops for them. And that's how you can have elven antagonists. They have been manipulating and moulding and changing your society for their benefit, not yours. If anything nice has happened in your society, then it is merely a happy chance that it has occurred. If it would not benefit the elven civilization, your parent elven civilization, then it won't be there. And so this is why you can have, it also helps explain why you can have things like, rough and ready feudal human kingdoms with castles everywhere, because the elves want a castle every 10-15 miles, so that when the enemy invades, they have to take a castle every 10 to 15 miles and just get bogged down in this. And they have to take every castle. They can't, it's a tiny, petty, set of fractured kingdoms, so you can't just do a deal or kill one king and sweep them all under your feet. You have to defeat each one in detail, and you're going to get slowed down, you're going to get bogged down. It's just going to become an eternal quagmire, and you will not get to your actual enemies. You're just going to get mired in this mass of humans, or this mass of dwarves, or goblins, or whatever it is. And the day your society, the junior society realises this, is often a very traumatic time, and that is a great time to be adventuring in, to be humans realising that the elves are not your best friends. They're not mentors. They are very selfish bastards. Of course, that also brings us to dark elves, the unseelie equivalent of elves, and often dark elves get a much better treatment in fantasy games, because they're not intended to be player characters, so they get all the gifts, all the wonders, all the powers, all the abilities to make a dark elf a force to be reckoned with. And it doesn't really matter if they're called Minibians from the Ulrich saga, they get to ride dragons and just burninate anyone who gets in their way. And they've also got deals with some ancient nasty devils. Or they're Moradrel, just killing, slaying, murdering away across Merkemia. Or they are Drow, serving their dark spider goddess and planning the day when they are going to come back and attack the surface well and wreak revenge on those nasty surface elves who drove them down. But whatever they are nasty and they are powerful and they are great antagonists because they don't care about you. They will enslave you. They want you as cannon fodder for their armies. They will enslave you. They will work you to death. They are evil. They are cruel. They do not care about you because you are not a dark elf. You are beneath them. You are scum. You are just an animal to be mistreated and used and abused and then discarded. So they make great villains. They make great evil bad guys. And of course they can contrast the supposedly good elves. The ones who are your parents and your mentors and regard you as amusing pets, who think and treat you as something to be used. Again, you can be taught tricks. You will serve a useful purpose, but once your purpose is served, well, the elves don't care. So those are some of my thoughts on elves. They are the masters. They are the master race, and you shouldn't trust them, whether they are light or dark. Thank you.